Hey everyone, Vanessa Hogel here. I apologize, but long work day, which leads me right into why I'm doing this video. I get a lot of questions, a lot of emails, a lot of private messages, DMs on my different social media platforms because people have a lot of questions about, you know, how to become psychic or how do you know you're psychic, remote viewing, tarot, magic, all different kinds of things. And I just came up with the idea that this is the best way for me to address all these because there's absolutely no way in the world that I can answer every single person, not personally. I just can't do it. And so this is it. This is what you're getting, okay? And sometimes it might be a real tired face giving it to you, but it is what it is. I thought I would try to start out with something that seems to be a very, very, very common question, and that is dream interpretation. How do we know if the dreams that we're having are spirit communication? Are they process of elimination dreams, problem-solving dreams that we're having for ourselves? Are they messages from a higher power, or are they just weird little scenes in our heads? And the answer to that question is not quite as difficult as you would think. It does take a lot of soul searching. It does take a lot of being honest with yourself. Because let's face it, we all know it. It is not that difficult to twist a dream to be what we want it to be. Therein lies the difference. If it is true spirit communication, if it is true communication coming from somebody that has absolutely nothing to do with you, or even if they do have something to do with you, and it doesn't make sense to you, don't try to force it to fit into a category right off the bat. You can't do that, especially if it feels like they're trying to give a message. Message dreams from spirit can take anywhere from one dream to however many they choose for it to take in order to get the proper message to you, or multiple messages to you. It's always a good idea, and I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more, to keep a dream journal by your bed if your memory is less than satisfactory, especially. But for the main reason that I say that is that when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to remember everything. Nobody does. You do your best, but nobody's perfect in that, self included. But if you write down the date, and I always really say the date you were sleeping, okay? So write down the date you were sleeping, and write down everything you can remember, even if it is a single word, okay? Even if it's brick, or fudge, or IHOP. Who the fuck knows, okay? Write it down. And then the next time you go to the next page. You can also write down, if you know who it was that you were dreaming about, obviously put that information in there. Anything that you know for certain, put in there. But anything that you question, or you're uncertain of its origin, write it down, regardless of how ridiculous. Okay? And do that, and that will help you. You will start to see a pattern. And that is how you deal with spirit communication when it comes through dreams. Now, when you're talking about your standard dream interpretation of it's something really far out there and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense and it's very fantastical, I'm not going to say don't give it too much importance. Look at it for exactly what it is. What were you doing in the dream? Where were you at in the dream? Do you feel like you had a purpose in the dream? Did you have any control in the dream? Were you able to stop the dream and re-enter it? If any of this sounds accurate in the dream journal, on that next page, write down dream instead of communication, which I forgot to tell y'all. Put that on the other one. Put communication above it. But just write down dream and then everything you can remember. It's important to remember that certain things do mean specific things, at least in my understanding. In the many years I've been doing this, a vehicle is basically you. It is your movement through life. Generally, if something amazing happens in a dream, it actually has more of a foreboding result. Okay, I actually had a dream I won the lottery, and the numbers ended up being the day I got divorced. Irony, right? Water, especially running water and lots of it, indicate cash flow. Now, these can change and they can alter depending on the person and your situation, but for the most part, those are the steadfast ones that have always held true for me. Okay, but again, like I said, there's always room for reinterpretation. But as far as knowing for certain what they are, you're going to have more luck. This is the truth, and it's the ugly truth, and it's the truth you're not going to want to hear. You're going to have, notifications. You're going to have more luck when it comes to spirit communication and dream interpretation when it's dealing with somebody else. And there's a very, very specific reason for that. And it's the fact that we can't see for us clearly. We can't. Okay? And there's an even bigger reason for that. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to be able to help others, yes. And quite possibly there's somebody else out there that can help us. But when you are given a particular skill set that allows you to have knowledge that isn't privy, that other people aren't privy to, it would be very unfair for you to also have that knowledge for yourself. That's just balance, y'all. It is what it is. So, sorry I'm doing this. I'm still sick, so this is going to be a short one. But you just have to stay in the proper mindset. We're not meant to know everything. We are meant to help others. We are meant to shed light where we can, and to ease where we can, and to give comfort. But we also need to look to others to help do that for us. We can't be everything to everyone and be everything to ourselves as well. That's too much knowledge. That's too much in the noggin. Okay, that's too much going on. And it's better this way, even if it doesn't seem fair. That's one of the things I hear all the time. You're psychic. Why didn't you see that coming? Because it involved me, you shithead. Of course I didn't. You know, I mean, it's just common sense. It is what it is. When it comes to the spirit communication, heading back to that one real quick, because my brain's real foggy, y'all. When it comes to the spirit communication, I will recommend that as you get deeper into your dream journal and you have multiple pages of spirit communication, try not to be a passive audience in this dream. Do as much as you can to interact with whomever it is that you are interacting with in this dream. Whether they are a family member, you know, a deceased family member, a deceased friend, or if they're a stranger. If your warning signs, if your internal warning signs aren't going off and telling you that you need to feel fear, because we're all ingrained with those, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't interact and begin to pull information out as well. This is something that's very important, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they feel like they should just be a recipient or a vessel. But you can't fully give to the person that it's meant for, the information that you're being given, if you don't participate. So that might, like I said, that might make some people uncomfortable, and that's okay. That's okay. Rome wasn't built in a day. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not the life I would have chosen for myself. It chose me. And I'm muddling through the best way I can. And that's all we're all doing. That's all that we're all doing, at least for the most part. There are some fuckers out there that are pretty shady, okay? So watch back. But learning as you go and relying on yourself and learning how to trust yourself and being very honest with yourself. If something just seems completely whack, write it down anyway, so you have a form of reference. You have something to go back on and look at. But if you can't make heads nor tails of it and you've written it down, step away. Step away. I've received messages before through dreams that would not come to fruition for over 10 years. So I had all that in my head. I had all that in a book. And I had, for the most part, not chewing on it. I just shoved it back in there and left it in the book and been like, all right, well, if something comes of that, it comes of it. And didn't even realize it until it happened. Until the confirmation came 10 years later. Y'all, you gotta take the standard time constraints and rules that we believe to be solid and carved in stone, because they do not apply. They do not apply to spirit communication through dreams. They do not apply for spirit communication sitting here talking like one sitting right next to me. It doesn't apply. Time doesn't apply. Standard rules don't apply. This is a whole area that can't, and my other phone's going off, that cannot be put in a nice little square box and put a bow on it. So this is just my little intro. I'm going to be a whole lot more prepared and hopefully less sick the next time I do this, because I'm having a hard time breathing now. I need to take my medicine again. But just a little intro to what we're going to be talking about. I'll get a little bit deeper into this with my notes next Thursday, and also lead in at that time to remote viewing and automatic drawing. So I hope y'all stick around. Tell your friends. Put questions underneath the video so that I have something to reference and go back to for future ideas of things to talk about. I truly do appreciate every one of you. And as soon as I get a little bit better, we're going to have some fun with this, okay? All right. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all soon. Love y'all.